Hey painting friends, happy 4th of July week. I'm Stoof, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to do a real-time acrylic painting tutorial of this. This is an imaginative painting that I had in here and I wanted to create for you guys. So it's just like a couple sitting on a hillside watching a fireworks display just after sunset. I inputted this into AI to like spit something out for an image for me, and I didn't quite like what it gave me, so I tweaked a bunch of things from there. And I also I liked the fireworks that I saw somewhere else recently, so I referenced those fireworks to add into the sky here. This is an acrylic painting tutorial, so I have our paint colors list in the description under this video, and I also have the link to jump to the fireworks part of the tutorial. If you're only interested in learning how to paint fireworks, that is in the description under this video as well. So we're going to talk about the materials for this painting, and then we're going to get started with that. But before we do that, if you are not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And at the end of this video, if you liked this tutorial, hit the like button as well. That helps my channel to grow, and you won't miss out on future painting tutorials if you enjoyed this painting tutorial today. Alright, for our materials today, I am using a disposable paper palette. We're using acrylic paints today. I have a variety of brands that I'm working with, so you're welcome to use whatever brand works best for you. I have the colors Titanium White, Ultramarine Blue. This is called Midnight Blue. If you have phthalo blue and you mix a little bit of a pink or like a reddish brown, you'll get a similar color. This one is like a spring green. This is Napthol Red Light. This color here is Dioxazine Purple, Burnt Umber, Cadmium Yellow Deep. This is Primary Magenta. This is Olive Green. If you have Sap Green, that will also work. This is Ivory Black, and this is like a Flesh Ochre. So if you have like an apricot color, that would work as well. And then for my canvas today, I'm working on an 8 by 10 inch canvas panel. And I have a cup of water. I have some paper towels for cleaning my brushes. And for my brushes today, I think I can get this done with just these three. I have an angled brush. That's about a 1/2 inch. If you have a flat tip brush, that would also work. I have this liner brush that's longer bristled. That'll help me with some of the fireworks in the painting. And then I have this little guy, which will help me with some of the smaller details in the figures for the people. All right, now that we've looked at our materials, let's get started with this painting. All right, to get started, I'm gonna take this brush, which is my it's basically a number 2 round tip brush, and I'm gonna dip that in the water a little bit, and I'm just gonna take some burnt umber and just swirl that around right there, and we'll mix a little bit of blue in there, just to get a dark neutral color to sketch out the concept. So I'm just gonna put a little tick mark about where center is. Might not be perfect there, but that is about where center will be, maybe a hair lower. Okay, and then I'm just gonna separate this into quadrants. So I'm gonna do center tick there, center tick at the bottom, about 1 on the right and 1 on the left. So now we've got upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. Gonna get a little bit more paint on the brush here. So this is an idea that I had for a 4th of July inspired painting. I just wanted to have like a cute little couple watching the fireworks go off, and they're like sitting up on a hill, and it's a little bit after sunset, so there's still some color in the sky. So what I'm thinking here is we'll have like the couple kind of seated on a hill that's gonna take up like this lower section. So from this center point, their hillside goes basically halfway between that and the left side of the canvas, and then about halfway up to the halfway point there. So this is about where they'll be sitting, just on a hill here. And then I'm gonna dip the brush in the water and just loosely sketch out their figures. So I want both of their figures to be more on the right side so that we can have a little bit more of the fireworks over here. And I'm thinking we're gonna have, let's put them like, I don't know, a hair above maybe a little bit more than a hair above the general center area from bottom to top. And we'll just get like the head shape here. Got some little ears. And then a shirt. And then the general like upper body is going to be, it's usually about the same width of the head to the edge of the shoulder or to the as far out as the arm will go. So I'm just going to make that come out a bit more. And we'll just do a little shirt. And this is going to have to come out. The shirt line will come out a bit farther from where the head is there, so you want this to be just a little farther out. And same thing over here, it's going to be out just a bit past the head. And just a little curved line there. So in general, that's the shirt. And this shoulder is going to be at an angle here because I would like to have the arm around the partner. Painting with like a guy and a girl, you're welcome to do whatever couple situation you would like. And you can, you know, maybe make it look more like you and somebody else if that's what you'd like to do. Oh, let's see here. How would this arm be? This is probably a little bit off for now. We're going to fix this later. And then this arm is just going to be kind of like here, and then the elbow would be kind of like that. And then we're not going to see too much of the tushy because they're going to have some, I want to have some grass kind of covering down there, but just to get an idea, we'd have like a knee that kind of comes out, and we're going to have more grass kind of covering all this too, so you're not going to see too much of the lower body. Okay, and then for the other person, let's make them a little bit shorter. So the top of the head we'll put about there. Also want to get, this person needs like a hairline, so I'm just going to do that real quick so you can see where their hair would be. Or they could be bald even if you want, they don't need to have hair. This is totally up to you guys, however you would like to personalize your own version of this if you're recreating this painting. And I want their heads to be maybe a little closer together, so I'm going to do that. And it's about the same size head. And I'm going to give this one, I'm going to make it a girl with like a side ponytail, kind of like that. And I'll have like an ear here. You can't really see much of their faces. And then we'll have a little bit of neck, some shirt there. And then now we can do this guy's arm. This is probably going to be the hardest part of this painting for me, is just getting these figures to look somewhat proportionate when I'm completely making this up. And then we'll have like a, we'll put her arm right here. Her elbow would be something like this. And we'll just put like a little hand there. And let's see, her shirt's probably going to be about the same as his shirt there, and then maybe come out a bit more. And we're going to cover a lot of that up anyway. Just getting a bit more water. Alright, so in general, there's like a little couple there. Alright, I accidentally got a little bit of yellow in there, but that's okay because we're still just sketching out the concept. But for this couple, you guys are welcome to do whatever couple you'd like. You know, you can make them look however you would like. I'm kind of referencing the idea in my head is kind of like me and my husband there, so you guys are welcome to do whatever you'd like there. All right, and then we're gonna have, let's just do like another little hillside kind of over here. And then our horizon line I want to be a little bit farther down. So maybe we have just like a, so this is our center. So halfway between there, I put my horizon line just a bit above that spot there. You could do like a couple more little mountains in the background if you want, or something like really far out in the distance. If you want to put like a body of water here, like there's a big lake or something, then you're going to have to work with reflections possibly. So that might be a new can of worms. I'm just going to leave that as like an open field with not a lot going on down there, because my focal point is kind of like them looking at the fireworks. All right, and then for the sky, I'm going to have a little bit of reds and yellows in there. And then for the fireworks, that's going to layer up over the sky. So for the sketch, we're basically done now. So now we know what the concept's going to be. I'm going to put some water on this brush and clean that off. Okay, this brush is clean. And now I'm going to work with my larger flat tip or angled tip brush, whatever you're working with there. And we're going to start with the sky. So we're going to take some white, some Napthol Red, and let's do some burnt umber. And just starting right above where I wanted to put these little mountains. I'm going to mix in some Cad Yellow Deep with a little bit of white. Just start adding a little bit more color in here. You can take some more Napthol Red with magenta and some purple. And that's a nice deep, dark color. The trick with the sky is just working quickly so that you can get these colors to kind of blend together. All right, I'm liking that. I'm gonna clean that brush off though real quick, because I'm gonna go to a lighter color. So we're gonna take white, a little bit of that Cad Yellow, and just put this in here just to give us that little bit of light. Still peeking through the sky. Gonna mix a little bit more yellow. And at this point, it's not blending quite as much. It's starting to just kind of layer. In some spots it's blending, but in some spots it's just layering over the color that was already there. And that's okay. All right, I'm gonna get a little more of that color over here. Okay, I like that. A little bit more of my yellow over here. The biggest thing is you don't want to leave any pure white spaces, unless you want to have like the sun visible or something, then you might leave some pure white, but in general you want to have lots of color in your sky here. All right, next I'm going to take some of that midnight blue, some white, and some of that spring green. And I'm going to start putting this up in here. I'm going to mix in more white and a little bit of yellow. So I purposely put that blue right next to the yellow so I could blend that a bit. So as we're moving down from where I just put that blue, now we're getting a little bit lighter. And just keep blending. I'm going to take the extra paint off my brush now. See if I can do a little bit more blending with just working with what's on the canvas. So there's barely any paint on the brush. It's really just pushing around and blending what's already there. And now I'm going to take some ultramarine with some magenta and some umber. And a little more umber, a little bit of that midnight blue. And then I'm going to blend this. Let's do a little bit of Napthol Red in there too, so warm it up. And blend this kind of into that other color that I had there. I gotta make sure the sky still gets pretty dark up here, because that's where I want my fireworks to be. Just gonna carry this out all the way over here. A bit more umber and midnight blue, napthol, umber, do a little yellow. That'll darken this up in there. And I'm covering up the couple's heads a little bit, but that's okay because I don't want to leave any white space that I would have to go back and touch up later. So we can always layer over what's down, but sometimes it's hard to rematch colors if you're taking a step back and you have to touch up a spot that you missed. Just make sure you're all covered up right around their heads and their figures. Come back to my purplish red color and take more Napthol Red and some orange so I can blend it back down into this other color I had. Just carrying this color out into the sky, and then it's going to build up into more of this darker purple brown color. Just like a nice big cloud. And then the sky, I'm going to mix some of my sap green, that spring green, and my midnight blue, so I have a really nice dark neutral blue at the top of the sky. And I'm just covering the whole top with that, back and forth with the brush strokes, making all of the paint come off of the brush and onto the canvas. I'm using a decent amount of pressure here because I really want to fill in all of the spaces on this canvas panel. Canvas panel has some texture, so sometimes you have to push a little harder to get that covered. Just gonna mix a little bit of that ochre, flesh ochre color, and let's do a little more of that. Yeah. And this is just very gently lightening the sky. I'm gonna take some more white and some more of that green so I can kind of transition to that color a little bit more quickly. It's not going to be exactly that color, but it'll look nice. I'm just going to do a couple little streaks of this up here because I'm not really sure what I'm doing with my sky. I'm just having a fun time getting all these colors in here. I don't want it to be just one solid flat thing. I want to have a little bit more going on, and a lot of it's going to get covered up anyway with the fireworks, so. Pulling that down more. Do a little more white right in here. It looks pretty cool. Okay, and now I'm going to take more of my Napthol Red. I just mixed in with my bluish color I had there. And I'm just going to make this like a big cloud kind of going across and catching a little bit of those colors from the sun over the horizon. Gonna take more white, yellow, just give a little bit more of a brown neutralish color there. Trying to cover up all my white spaces that are remaining. want things to have a transition. I don't want to have anything too choppy in my sky. And it's going to be hard to stop because there's so much. You could just keep going forever. You could keep playing around with all of these different colors in the sky that you are putting down, especially since this is like an imaginative design. But I think I'm gonna stop right there. All right, so we got our sky. There's like a little bit of light left, but it's transitioning into nighttime. Just cleaning the extra paint off my brush there. Now let's just work on this area down here. So the mountains in the background, I'm going to use a little bit more blue, green, some of that midnight blue, and purple. And they're really far out in the distance. I think they would have a little bit more brown this time of day. So let's put in some Napthol, a little bit of yellow, and some more white because they're so far out. And let's do more white. It's going to dry a little bit darker. Even more white. And we'll just have these back out here. I'm going to mix more brown, white, and some red. Just trying to keep bringing up that value because we're getting really far in the distance here, and I don't want to have things too light because then it's going to read like it's closer than it is. And then down here we're going to have deeper shadow on that one because it's closer. Getting the extra paint off my brush on my napkin. I'm just going to take some more white and start at the base of the mountain and work my way up just to show a little atmosphere. I'm really gently pressing here just to get a softer blend. I don't have too much paint on my brush. Okay, so now I've got those little mountains in there. I'm going to mix in a little bit more green for this area. So it's got like purple mixed with green. And it's starting out a little bit lighter. The value's not too different from the mountains. I'm going to put a little bit in there where we can see between his arm. And then I'm going to mix in more of my midnight blue and some black and a little more green. So it's going to get darker and deeper in shadow as we're getting closer. Let's mix in a little bit more yellow. Just going back and forth with the brush. Here I'm using more pressure just to get that good coverage. And you can mix a little bit more white in there when you're ready to kind of transition this up. And I'm covering up his arm again. All right, this mountain up here, this little other hillside, I'm gonna go with some of my spring green with my brown, a little bit of white, and some black. It's gonna be pretty dark on this side at least. There's still like a little bit of light that's touching the other side there. So I'll mix in some of that flesh apricot or flesh ochre. Okay, and I'm going to take some more yellow, mixing in some white, and I'm just gonna, I could put some grasses on this hill or something, just going up and down with my brush strokes, give it a little bit of texture. And get the extra paint off the brush, green and black. Just do a couple little shadows in there. All right, and then this one's gonna be pretty dark. So I'm mixing black with green down here. Mix some purple for this section as well. Let's keep it really dark. And then I'm gonna take more of my, I just got the extra paint off my brush. Now I'm taking white and a little bit of that spring green and some of that yellow. And we're just gonna do some grasses here. So this is where an angled brush is a little bit nicer than a flat tip brush, but a flat tip brush will still get you these nice little angles. So I'm holding the brush this way. So if you hold it this way, you're gonna get a thick line. If you go this way, you'll get that nice thin line. So I'm giving these nice thin little lines that look like grasses. And we're just starting to fill in some of these grassy spots here. And just keeping these up and down brush strokes and not really adding a whole lot more paint, just going up and down with the brush strokes. Get these to stand out. Want the hills to stand out from one another, so I'm bringing the value up on this one. Okay, and then I'm going to take more midnight blue with my yellow. Gives me like a cooler bluish green. And we'll just keep that going down there. Alright, for now, that's good. I'm gonna fill in the couples. I'm gonna do like a dark blue shirt. Colors are gonna be not very vibrant here because we're seeing the backside, like almost a silhouette of this couple. Just filling in, basically just using that same color. Then there's a little U shape usually where the t-shirt connects to the neck. It's not just flat, it's usually like a little bit of a U there. And this arm. Oops, covered up the jacket there, the girl's jacket. Okay. That's good. And then I think for the girls one, I'll do more of a, like a lighter gray. So I'm going to mix that ochre, flesh ochre with some black and white. And it's pretty dark. And it's going to be even darker. Let's take a little bit more black right here, where their bodies are pretty close. Probably even like a little more of a shadow in there. Okay, and the arm, go about there. What else am I missing here? We got the back of the shirt. And then the ponytail will be up there. Okay, for the pants, let's just do like black, mix in a little bit of our sap green or olive green. Just keep it really dark for the pants. And this is all gonna get covered up here anyway. And for her pants, let's just mix a little more blue into that so it's slightly different. Don't think we're going to be able to tell too much. Alright, and we're going to cover some of that up anyway, so no big deal there. I'm going to put that bigger brush away, and now I'm going to switch to this brush, that number 2. And we're gonna take some purple and mix it with white and a little bit of that yellow. And that's going to give us kind of a blonde color, which I'm kind of going for making it look like me. So again, you're welcome to paint these people however you'd like. Just doing this lighter outline around the hair where the light's catching more of it. Front part that we see, which is the back of the head, it's going to be darker because that's more of the shadow. So just kind of mix some black with that color I just had. Give me a little bump there where the ponytail will be. Gonna mix a little more brown, a little bit of green, and a little black. Do a little curl at the base of the ponytail. And then I'm just going to do a straight line down there where there's a little bit of an ear. Mix a bit of red in. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a little bit more of that lighter color and just do a little more on the ponytail and on the top of the head there. Maybe a little bit more right there too. Okay, I'm liking that. Now for their skin, I'm using that apricot or the flesh ochre with some red, Napthol Red. And we're just gonna do a little line there for the ear. And that's really the only part that's like warm in color. Everything else is gonna be pretty cool and dark. So now I'm mixing some Napthol with some umber. And I'm also gonna mix in some, just a little more umber, and let's do a little bit of ultramarine. And that's going to be more of the shadow color where we don't see a whole lot of the skin color because it's more in shadow. Okay, and then for the guy, let's do the same thing. I'm just going to mix a little bit more blue. And this is again mostly in shadow. Got a couple little ears. Just like two little lines for the back side of the ear that you can see. This is pretty dark part of the arm. We're going to have a little bit of a light highlight on the top part of the arm just to give it a little dimension. And then this elbow would be like about there. And we put like the hand kind of wrapping around, something like that. And I'm just going to touch up the jacket. I like that. Just mixing a little bit more black, covering up a little white spot there. And this arm, we just have going pretty much straight down. I'm going to mix a little bit more white. This area, I'm just going to touch that up. And then for her hand, I can use a little more red. I think that the arm is a little too long on the girl, so we're just going to touch that up real quick by, let's see, so if her elbow's here, then her arm should be no longer than that, I think. So we'll just touch this up, put this shirt back where it was, and then I'm going to touch up her hand there once that dries. So if you make a mistake or you don't like how something looks, you can always just wait for it to dry and then go back over it. Just touching up a couple little things there. Filling in some of the little white spaces. And then let's just get a little bit of this space filled in. Okay. Nice. Alright, now for the guy's hair. So like I said, I'm just kind of making this look more like my husband's, who has brown hair. So just going with some umber and black for the brown hair. That's more in shadow. Filling in that space. Alright, and then for the top of the head where there's a little bit of light catching, I'm just going to mix a little bit of my red with the white, and they'll just give me a little highlight just right around there. And I'm just going to go back in with some brown, put some deeper shadows in there too. And okay, pretty happy with that so far. We'll just go back and touch up her hand so I don't forget about that. And for the hand is not a whole lot, it's just like a square with a little nub coming out for the thumb, so pretty easy. Okay, so we got that part done. I'm gonna switch to this liner brush, and I'm just gonna start to add in a little bit more of the grasses. I'm gonna add some highlights to the grasses. So I'm dipping the brush in the water, getting a little bit of white on there, and then we're getting some sap green or olive green and some umber. And I don't want these to be too bright. A little bit more umber. But yep, there's our little grasses, kind of still kind of lit up from the bit of light in the sky. And also just to help bring attention to these people here. Gonna mix more brown, some purple, and that'll get the grassy parts behind them. Just want to cover up the base of these people. And if you could use your imagination here too, if you guys want to add like flowers and stuff, you can add some flowers around them. Just mixing green with some of my darker colors. Now we're just layering with the brush. So I'm not using too much pressure when I'm putting this down here. I don't want to have really thick lines. I want to have these thin blades of grass. So by moving kind of quickly and not using too much pressure, I can get these nice blades of grass. Take more brown. And you just keep moving forward. You start with the grass in the back and make your way up, and that'll keep building up the grasses and kind of intersperse your highlights and your shadows, layering those up too. And now they're just sitting on a nice little grassy hill watching the fireworks that aren't here yet. So that'll be the next step in this painting. We're going to add in the fireworks to the sky. And since the sky is dry now, well, that was, there you go. It is now time to add in the fireworks. So if your sky is still wet, if the paint's still wet there, you want to wait until the sky is dry because the fireworks are going to layer up over all of that. All right, so now we're going to start with the fireworks. We're going to use this liner brush still. And there's a couple different ways to do this. So the way I'm going to go about this today is I'm going to take some white, some magenta, and you can use whatever color you want for your fireworks. They don't have to be the exact same color as me. I'm going to mostly go for like red, white, and blue fireworks here. And I'm going to put this one, I'm going to do a big one like right here. So basically, you have to envision the size of where the firework's going to be. So I want like the base of it to be here, which I could do like a little line there. That'll help. We'll make like a little square, couple little ticks. All right, so this is like the outer edges of where those fireworks will be. So we're starting with the darker magenta with white mixture. From your center spot, that's kind of where everything is coming out from. So all your lines are going to be kind of coming out from center, out from this middle spot. And I'm starting with just the same color for all of these. And you also can have your lines, if you want to be really particular, start lighter and then get thicker and a little heavier as they're coming out from center as well. That just adds to the effect more, making it look a little bit more realistic. And to get that thinner spot, you just use a little less pressure. So you start to kind of pick the brush up from the canvas as you're applying that paint. And it seems like the brush strokes should get a little bit longer too as you're getting farther away. Some of them can overlap. You don't want to have them all perfectly evenly spaced. So you can see it's starting to look like a firework already. We're going to do some more fun stuff to this to get it to look more realistic as well. But for now we're getting it in there, getting the paint on the canvas and getting those brush strokes on so it starts to look like a firework. We went on a Disney cruise a couple months ago and they had Pirate Night, and they did a pretty cool fireworks display on Pirate Night. So that's where I was getting my ideas for what kinds of fireworks I wanted to paint. Okay, so there's the base for that. Next, we're going to take white and some Napthol Red, so it's warmer red. And this is going to go over top of the line. So you don't want to make new lines now. You want to go over, and you don't want to do it fully covering everything. Like you want to leave some of the red that you put down initially. You want to leave that visible. And the big thing is trying to keep a smooth line. You don't want to have like a squiggly, crooked line. And I'm starting most of these highlights not right at the end points, like a little bit farther in, to show that the highlights and the bright part of the firework is not the entire brushstroke. Same thing, if you start with that thicker brush stroke at the farthest point and then start to lift up your brush, it'll give you that nice look. And then we're going to take white, with just a teensy bit of that red still on the brush, and add an even brighter highlight to just a few of these where we want to give it even more dimension and depth. Alright, and just like that, we've got a nice little firework there. I think this one I overdid it a bit, so I'm just going to go back with the dark red. Now it's not standing out quite as much. Okay, but there's one of our fireworks. And next I'm going to do a nice one that's like got red, white, and blue in it. And for that one, I'm actually going to start with my smaller round tip brush, mix in my red with my magenta and some umber. And for this one I'm going to do it like right here, and I just want to start with like this glow in the center part. So there's not a lot of paint on this brush, there's barely any paint on there. I just did like a fuzzy little back and forth, push the paint around, and then as I get to the edges I'm dry brushing, so there's no wet paint, it's just whatever's in the brush still, and I'm just going back and forth using a lot of pressure, and it's softening up that edge, giving me a nice blurry edge there. And that is the glow that I'm looking for these fireworks. Okay, so for this one we have a bunch of, I'm going to go back to this brush, by the way, I'm going to go to the liner brush, and we're going to use Napthol Red, a little bit of white, and this one's going to have a bunch of little streaks. Like say this is center, it's going to have a bunch of little dashes coming out from the center, kind of keeping that circle shape. And then from there I'm just going to keep using this color that I have, and we're going to start to add a few more bigger ones coming out from that center spot, all radiating out from the center. Kind of let it overlap a little bit with the other one. Let's get a little more paint. And we'll do some white now with that Napthol and a teensy bit of the yellow just to keep it nice and warm. Make it a bit more on the orange side, a bit less on the pink side. Okay, and then we can do some little highlights on these ones in the center. And then start to add highlights on these ones. Only like the second half coming out from the close point is where the highlight goes. gonna clean off that brush. Gonna take some white with some blue, ultramarine, and just put a nice little dot at the edge of each of these little guys. And that gives us our pretty red, white, and blue firework. And it's only on these ones on the outer circle, not these little inner circle ones. Okay, then on top of that, just take a little dab of white. Cute, I like it. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit more white with that napthol just to get a couple more little highlights on these ones. Nice and bright there. And with that, we have a finished painting. My painting of a cute little couple watching a fireworks display. If you have recommendations for future painting tutorials, leave a comment under this video. Alright guys, that wraps up this painting tutorial of a couple watching a fireworks display for the 4th of July. I hope you guys have a safe and healthy and happy and fun 4th of July, and happy painting! Bye!